Hi, I'm David Stein of Money for the Rest of Us. And in this video, I answer the question, is college worth it? And if so, where should you go? The simple answer is college worth it is yes. You learn stuff there, and probably more importantly, businesses are using college education, that degree, as a screening device. And if you don't have a degree, then often you don't even get a shot at getting a job. Now, does that mean that college graduates are better at their job than non-college graduates? No, actually not. There's a study by Joseph Fuller and Manjari Raman. They're of Harvard Business School. They interviewed 600 human resource professionals and asked them about the performance of college graduates versus those that didn't have a college degree that were in the same position. And they found that those without the college degree did just as well. They were just as productive, and they got promotions just as quickly as those that had a college degree. What they also found is those with a college degree were less satisfied with their work, and they didn't stay around as long. And so it isn't so much that a college degree makes you better at a job, because much of what you learn on a job happens while you're on the job. Now, what about the idea, where should you go? It's very, very difficult to get into a prestigious college. Last year, Harvard only accepted 4.6% of its applicants. That's down from 8% in 2008. Princeton, 5.5% of applicants, down from 9.3% 10 years ago. Stanford, 4.3% of applicants. Given how hard it is to get in, no wonder some parents are trying to cheat their way in, or at least cheat their way so their students can get in. But if you come from, let's say, a background where your parents have gone to college, they have large amount of income, you have essentially a built-in network of all these other Ivy League parent graduates, does it pay to go to that prestigious school? Well, there was a study by Stacy Dale and Alan B. Kruger. Mr. Kruger recently passed away, and they looked at this, and they looked at an age cohort. Those who went to college in 1976 and 1989, they looked at where they went, and they looked at their earnings over the subsequent years. And they found that college graduates that applied to a number of more elect or elite schools, it was really indistinguishable from zero how they performed in terms of their earnings in subsequent years compared to those that went to less prestigious schools. The point is that if you're ambitious and you thought you could go to a very, very good school, even if you didn't get in, you still did very well in college. And so it didn't really matter if you come from that type of background. But they also found that for minorities and those that came from family backgrounds that were a little more challenging, perhaps their parents didn't go to college or they had low income, their earnings were much better going to some of those prestigious schools. Now, the question is, how do you pay for that if you come from that type of background? Well, after I did episode 245 of my podcast on college education, a professor from one of these elite schools wrote me and said, there definitely is some benefit, particularly if you come from a lower income background, because oftentimes, even though the sticker price of these colleges might be $50,000 a year for tuition, that most of the students whose family makes less than $100,000, they don't have to pay any tuition. And so you get a lot of financial aid. However, if you're thinking about taking out massive student loans, 17% of students right now have college student loans over $50,000 of those that actually borrow money. That's a huge amount. That's up significantly in the last decade. And studies have found that those that have more than $50,000, 10 years later, the median borrower had only paid off about 75% of those loans. It's very difficult to pay off those large balances, where the median that had less than $50,000, they did pay off their loan in 10 years. So it's important to make sure that if you're taking out loans, it's for a degree that you feel confident you're going to be able to pay off those loans. Now, there's another thing about college that's pretty fascinating. This is a study by Dirk Witteveen and Paul Attewell. They looked at family backgrounds of those that attended college, and what they found was that those that had backgrounds that were a little more challenging, the income gap, what they earned many years later, was still less than those that didn't have some of those impediments, even if they went to the same college. and got the same degree. And they felt that part of that could be what they call parental bridging. The parents of some of these well-to-do students helped them get that first job, or let the student come live at home and gave them more time to get that job. They also said it just could be some element of discrimination. So recognize that if you come from a lower income background, I mean, that's the kind of background I came in. I could not get in to an elite school. I went to a state school. But if you come from that background, there can be a pay gap versus those that did not. And that's unfortunate, but that's just the way the world is. Having said that, though, you can overcome that. You can overcome that if you're ambitious, you work hard, you want to learn, you enjoy college to learn and to grow. You build your network, you build your social capital, you get better. You produce a body of work. You're creative and you try. That's what's going to allow you to get ahead. So when we look at these mass statistical studies, we need to recognize that you're not just, you're just one person. And you can overcome these statistics based on your ambition. So bottom line is, go to college, go to the best college you can get in that you can actually afford without taking on massive loads of debt. It's worth trying out some of these elite colleges. See what financial aid program you can get. Alternatively, start out at a community college. Start out there and then move to a more prestigious college if you can get in. Hey, if you have any questions on this video, you can leave those in the comments below. And please subscribe to my channel. You'll be notified each time I upload a video. Thanks.